matters to you. Feel free to call Brian at 702-221-7283.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Now pushing the limits, here's Brian Shapiro.
What's happening, everybody? How's everybody doing out there? It is Pushing the Limits on a Friday. Hope everybody's having a great day. We have some breaking news. We have a lot to share with you. We have some very interesting guests on the show today, to say the least. And obviously, we'll talk a little bit about the Israel-Iranian conflict. Is this going to be the start of World War III? We're certainly going to get to that. A guy who is coming from the porn industry, probably one of the most famous male porn stars ever, and now he wants to be your next senator. Very interesting guest, to say the least. Evan Stone has done plenty of scenes with Stormy Daniels. He's a friend of Stormy Daniels. He knows her very well. We're going to talk about his take on the hush money case and what he thinks is going to happen moving forward in his run for Senate. Evan Stone joining us in studio. But before we get to that, I do want to cover some breaking news for you. And thank you so much for joining us, by the way. PTL listeners on the FM AM dial, you could be watching on the Occupy Democrats Network Facebook page, Washington Press. We appreciate all of you for being here, and my personal YouTube page at PTL Radio Show. So a man just doused himself with liquid and lit himself on fire outside the courthouse in Manhattan in the Donald Trump trial taking place, of course. He was in an area that was cordoned off for supporters of Trump. And while we don't know exactly what his motivation is, what we can tell you is that his name is Max Azzarello, and he put out a letter on social media. This was predetermined that he was going to do this. Obviously, a very disturbed, mentally ill individual. He said, "I am an investigative researcher who has set himself on fire outside the Trump trial in Manhattan. This extreme act of protest is to draw attention to an urgent and important discovery." And then he goes into a diatribe, right? This is an extremely disturbed, mentally ill man who let himself on fire outside the courthouse. Now, there are so many people out there that happen to be Trump supporters that claim it's not a cult. There are so many people that say they are Trump supporters, and they'll buy the $60 Bibles, right? They'll buy the gold sneakers. They'll douse themselves, maybe not with gasoline and light themselves on fire, but they'll douse themselves with all the Trump gear and everything, so on and so forth. But it is interesting, isn't it? Because outside the Hunter Biden court appearances, was anybody lighting themselves on fire? Outside Biden speeches, and it's usually Donald Trump supporters that are breaking the law. Am I wrong on that? So for those of you out there that want to say, this is not a cult, a guy in an area where Trump supporters were supposed to be lit himself on fire in protest. This isn't a cult? Is that what we're all led to believe? Obviously, this is an extremely deranged individual, but it leads me to my next question to all of you out there. If somebody who might be a Trump supporter, who might be a cultist to Donald Trump, is willing to set himself on fire, and by the way, I hope he makes a full recovery and I hope he gets the help he needs, but if somebody is willing to do that, what else are they willing to do? Storm the Capitol? Beat police officers? This is what it sounded like live on the air. We have the Fox News live stand up when this guy lit himself on fire. It is kind of mesmerizing. And then you have the live audio. CNN and Fox News were both live when this guy decided to light himself on fire. So this is live TV. This isn't a report after it already happened. So it is kind of wild and it is kind of crazy. This is what it sounded like both on Fox News and CNN.
All right, there's a fire that has started, as you can see live. We wonder if a person is on fire. In the fire. We apologize.
What do you say? We also are seeing an active shooter. An active shooter is in the park outside the court. We have a man he has set fire to himself. A man has emblazoned himself outside of the courthouse just now. Our cameras are turning right now. A man has now lit himself on fire outside of the courthouse in Manhattan, where we are waiting for history to be made. A full jury panel is gone. We are watching a man who is fully emblazoned in the front of the courthouse today. We are watching multiple.
All right, so you get the idea. It is kind of crazy when something like this happens, and all the national news media, so many of them are live, doing stand-up shots live when this guy decides to light himself on fire. And we also have a video. Again, this guy's name is Max Azzarello. This stuff just happened, right? It's breaking news. It just happened within the hour, and we're learning who this guy is. This is a video that this is the man who lit himself on fire, and there are some swears in there. This is 5 to 10 minutes before he lit himself on fire, and absolutely premeditated. I agree with you. Somebody on social media saying that. This is a video that he posted. This is how deranged this guy sounds like. This is minutes before he lit himself on fire. He posted this to his social media account.
Start a fucking revolution. Start a fucking revolution. Start a fucking revolution. You've got nothing to lose.
Well, apparently that's what this guy thought. His life, he had nothing to lose. I don't know if he's going to make a full recovery or not. I would imagine perhaps no. It's what I always say when I say these people are dangerous. I'm not saying every single person that supports Donald Trump is dangerous. Obviously, that would be a ridiculous statement, and I would never say that on the air. But so many of these cultists are dangerous people. These are dangerous human beings. And I'm glad this man didn't hurt anybody else. He only hurt himself. He didn't hurt anybody else. But these are scary people, man. Yes, it is a cult. And again, if you don't believe me, I ask you, why didn't we see anybody light themselves on fire outside the Hunter Biden hearings? Why didn't we see any Democrats doing that? I'm not saying that there are no Democrats out there that aren't crazy. Of course there are. But this is a cult. These people are dangerous. Yes, I agree with you, Cher Bear. They're a danger to themselves and to others. Thank God this guy didn't try to take other people down with him. So these are scary people. This was a scary moment. Imagine you're walking down the streets in Manhattan and you see a guy light himself on fire. Imagine. So these are scary, deranged people. So the guy joining us next in studio, he knows Stormy Daniels very, very well. He's worked with Stormy Daniels for years. Arguably one of the most famous, if not the most famous male porn star in the world. But now he's switching from his profession and he wants to run for office, and he is running for office. He wants to be your next senator. His name is Evan Stone. Is he running as a Republican? Is he running as a Democrat? He's going to tell you next. And I'm going to get his thoughts on this hush money case. I'm going to get his thoughts on what he thinks about Stormy Daniels and this whole situation. And of course, I'm going to ask him about his run for office. So Evan Stone is going to be joining us next. And obviously, we're going to also get to the Israeli-Iranian conflict. What do you make of what Israel did yesterday? Did you think it was right? Did you think it was wrong? And what about Mike Johnson standing with Israel and standing with Ukraine? And the vote is unanimous in his favor. Is he still going to be outed as the House Speaker? Boy, there's so much to get to. And of course, we'll be taking your phone calls this hour as well at 702-221-7283. And again, that number, 702-221-7283. The legend in the adult film industry, Evan Stone, will be joining us next, and I'll ask him why he's running for office. He wants to be your next senator. I do take his candidacy very seriously. He knows Stormy Daniels probably better than just about anybody, so certainly we're going to ask him about the hush money case as well. Evan Stone joining us next. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP. Did you know that 99% of air conditioning issues start with airflow issues? Well, guess what? Pioneer Air has your back. They've been operating for 20 years in the industry within the Las Vegas area, large enough to handle all your air conditioning and heating needs. but small enough to know your first name. Pioneer Air focuses on preventative care, much like wellness checks for humans. They believe in wellness checks for air conditioning and heating systems to extend the life of the system you own. So what are you waiting for? Schedule your wellness check with Pioneer Air today. The number to call is 702-831-4840. Here's the best news. Mention this ad and you'll receive 10% off. Call Pioneer Air today. 702-831-4840. That number again, 702-831-4840.
My name is Hunter Kane, and I'm talking with you for a call to action for our veterans in Clark County. Who is Hunter Kane? Well, I'm a decorated combat veteran, veteran community leader, and candidate for Clark County Commission. Do you know no veteran has served on the commission in nearly 30 years, which is why our veteran homelessness, unemployment, and suicide rates are out of control. So here's the call to action. June 11th, vote veteran, vote Kane for Clark County. Let's rally behind someone who's been in the trenches, who knows the sacrifices, and who's committed to making a real difference. Join the campaign by searching Elect Hunter Kane on social media or go to www.electhunterkane.com.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helps Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Residents of Las Vegas Ward 5, are you ready for a brighter future? I would like to introduce myself, Dr. Erica Smith, your People's Choice for City Council. With a vision for progress and the fortitude to make it happen, I am committed to moving us forward. I am not just a candidate, I am a fighter for you. With myself on the City Council, you can expect a real change and a community that thrives. Vote for Dr. Erica Smith, because together we're building a better tomorrow. To learn more about me and my campaign, go to www.ericaforlasvegas.com, paid for by the Vote Dr. Smith Committee.
Voters want safe gun reform, ban military assault weapons, including AR-15s, have universal background checks, and red flag laws. I am Eva Chase, a candidate for Nevada State Assembly District 16, U.S. Air Force veteran, college graduate, progressive independent candidate, fully transitioned transgender woman, former lieutenant governor candidate for Nevada in 2022, where I received 7,212 votes in the Democratic primary. Follow me on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok. Donate to my campaign bot fund account and stay progressive.
Hey everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
All right, welcome back. It is pushing the limits here on a Friday. Thank you so much for joining us. So much to get to. Israel has responded to Iran. We're going to get to that. Hush money case. We got a guy lighting himself on fire. Before we get to that, I say support the people that support me here. It's going to start to get really hot. Summer's right around the corner. Pioneer Air's got your back. It's a company that's been around since the 1930s. Leo came over here with his family through the churches from Mexico, and boy, he's run a company that really is successful. To my PTL listeners, if you hit up Pioneer Air right now, you're going to get up to a year free in scheduled maintenance. That's like having a year free of oil changes. They'll come to your place, they'll check your system for free. There's no catch. Give them a call, 702-703-6346. Again, that's 702-703-6346, the good people at Pioneer Air. All right, so this guy's been on my show before. It's interesting, but because before I met him in person, I did watch some of his films. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I enjoyed them very much. Maybe not so much because I was looking at him. Maybe I was looking at the people that he was working with, if that makes sense. Nothing wrong with that. But the guy joining us in studio is arguably, not even arguably, he's one of the most famous male porn stars of all time. But now he wants to be your next congressman. And he's running for U.S. Congress District 1 against Dina Titus right here. His name is Evan Stone. And he knows Stormy Daniels very well for a lot of different reasons. Mr. Evan Stone is dressed up in his getup, looking like George Washington today. Explain to me this and thank you for being here, Evan. Explain to me the getup today.
So it seems to me it's just a constant show. It's a pomp and circumstance. It's just a lot of hoo-ha and hippity-ah and all that stuff, and no one's ever getting to the core of the stuff. And so the problem is that they're making fun of us. When I say they, I'm just the government in general. They're not taking not taking our cues. They're not representing us, and our own interests are taking second to their own self-interest. And so it's going to be a revolution, but it's not a revolution where we're going to take up arms and run up and down the street, setting buildings on fire. I think we've already done that. But what it's a revolution of, it's going to be controlled. This government is totally out of control. And we're going to use AI. We're going to use AI in the government to help eliminate a lot of this government problems. Because this government has gotten so huge and so out of control that at some point we have to take control of it again. I mean, I hate using another actor's work, but I'm with the government and I'm here to help you. So
there are a lot of people in this country on both sides of the political aisle that are very frustrated with our government, and I understand that. But you're not running as a Republican or a Democrat, right?
No, I'm on the Republican ticket.
You are running now as a Republican.
I'm Republican, yeah, because I want to win.
Okay. And you feel like you have to run as a Republican in order to win.
In order to win the first time.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's get right into it then.
All right.
You know Stormy Daniels very well. How many?
Is she here?
How many? I wish. How many movies have you done with Stormy Daniels?
With her or for her? Or
you were actually in a scene with Stormy Daniels. Yes. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
How many?
I don't know.
Hundreds?
I've lost track. Yeah, probably.
Hundreds of scenes with Stormy Daniels. So you know her very well.
Oh, yeah.
You guys talk on a regular basis?
Oh, yeah. And at different levels. Her as an executive, her as a producer, her as a director, her as a talent.
I believe everything she has said. I'll be honest with you. I don't believe anything Donald Trump says. Have you spoken to her at all? Is there anything you could share with us about this whole situation, this hush money case? Have you guys had any conversations about it?
Oh, yeah, sure. Absolutely.
What can you share with us?
So, Stormy got thrown into this whole thing. I told the story last time by my ex-wife. And it's become a thing. It's costing her a lot of money because she's had to hire security and stuff like that because there's fringe. And these people on the fringe, whatever side, both sides, are just out of control. They've lost their minds, right? And so security is an issue and stuff like that. And when you don't feel secure in your own home, it's kind of a thing. It's a draining thing. So I hope the courts figure this out. I mean, I'm not there to take sides one way or another. I don't know Trump, and I don't know all of Stormy's side because she hasn't told me what's going on. I only know the story from what I know from the ex-wife and what she's told me and brief little things, which I discussed at your program at length last time.
Right.
And so, good luck to her.
Right? In her documentary, she did talk about the death threats and.
Did she? I didn't watch it.
Which is horrible.
No, it's horrible.
It's horrible.
Right. I think they killed one of her animals or something.
Yeah, it's just terrible. And she doesn't deserve that.
No, no one does.
And I know some people will say, well, because she had sex with the former president, she makes more money now. I don't think she wanted any of this. I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean,
I don't agree with that.
No. Even the people that she doesn't have the money that people think she has. I mean, the attorney ripped her off for almost all of it.
Well, let me ask you. I agree. So let me ask you this: you're running as a Republican.
Yes.
The leader of the Republican Party, or at least the face of the Republican Party, is Donald Trump. Let's talk about this hush money case. I want to get your thoughts on it.
All right.
If in fact it's true, which I believe it is, he paid her off 2 weeks before the election. Do you believe that is election interference? Forget about campaign finance possible violations, which I also believe he broke. 2 weeks before a presidential election, when you pay somebody hush money because you don't want the public to find out about the fact that he had unprotected sex with a porn star 2 months after Barron was born, do you have a problem with that?
Okay, so is you only want to discuss hush money that's paid because of inappropriate actions with sexual actions with another person?
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
Okay.
In a private person's life,
Okay.
I wouldn't have a problem with that. Morally, I would, but legally, no. The legal argument is he did it 2 weeks before the presidential election,
right, so-
used campaign funds, and he's facing a number, over 30 felonies in this case.
Okay. First of all, using campaign funds, that's a big no.
Right.
Right.
Allegedly,
yeah.
that's
Okay.
right.
And that
So
right
you would
there-
have a problem with that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, there's politicians. I've learning through this. There's politicians that actually run for office, not even trying to win, just to make money.
Right.
Now you don't actually make cash, but you get all this other benefits and stuff that comes with it. You know,
Right.
the cars and all that stuff. There's people that actually do that. I mean, Jefferson played hush money. Hamilton, Nixon, right? They all paid hush money. So all the presidents have done it. Right. So I mean, if the line in the sand is because
Well, I wouldn't say all the presidents.
oh,
have
no,
done it.
all okay.
Some have.
Okay, but
Joe
some-
Biden hasn't.
okay.
Barack Obama hasn't. George W. Bush hasn't.
But did not Barack Obama get in the country we're fighting in? Didn't he get like a district attorney who was given a hard time, fired by pressure? Isn't that the same as like money payment?
There was no hush money payment.
Okay,
The
all
point
right.
I'm
Well, that's
trying-
what we're talking about, hard payment.
And Barack Obama didn't have unprotected sex with a porn star after one of his children were born either. More from a moral standpoint, that I think that makes you a scumbag.
Does
But
it?
I think so. You know, you could make the case, well, you don't know their personal situation. And we also know that Donald Trump paid off another woman, McDougal, I believe her name is, $150,000 having an affair.
He lost that civil suit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So forget about the moral side of it. We can
Okay.
get to that later.
Sure.
We're talking about, we agree that
Okay.
if you use campaign funds, do you believe that's election interference as well?
No,
Why not? Tell me.
because if you're using your own money and that was your
Campaign
own
money?
No, your own money. If you're using campaign money, that's a whole
He's
different
alleged
thing.
to be using
Well,
campaign money.
that's a big no.
Yeah. Would you say that's election interference?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So we agree on that.
Oh yeah.
Do you think he'll be found guilty of any of these charges in this case, in the hush money case?
Okay, and he's being tried where in New
York City.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
They just have the full jury intact.
Wow, picking a jury.
Yeah.
How hard was that?
With alternates. Well, it is tough because a lot of people are going to be
Everybody
biased.
knows about it, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, you got to wait to how the court is done, right? You have to be there at the court. They're not televising it.
But you're running as a Republican.
Yes.
If he's found guilty and if he's a convicted felon, whether it be this case, well, it would have to be this case because the other case.
So is that a felony if you use the campaign funds for testimony?
Yes, he's facing over 30 felony counts in this case. As you know, he's facing 91 felony counts in all four cases.
All right.
If he's a convicted felon, as somebody who's running as a Republican, I see you more as a libertarian, but I understand why you're running as a Republican. I get it. I know you. I get it. Would you still vote for a guy like that, even if he's a convicted felon over Joe Biden?
Okay, he's convicted felon. Now it's just kind of odd that all of this happened to happen right before the election. They had all this time to make this happen, but it's happening right before the election.
Well, that's not true though. A lot of the stuff is going to be tried after the election.
But they all tried to get it, and they had tried to get it done before the election.
Don't you think it's important though to do it before the election?
Okay, why? Because wheels of justice only work when it's politically active.
I don't
trying
think,
to be political.
I'll answer that because I don't think it's fair if in fact he does win that he can pardon himself, which he would. I think that's absurd, and the laws need to change.
I don't. You can speak for him that he would pardon himself.
Oh, come on, Evan. Come on. You know that would happen. Come on.
Can you do that?
Yes. Yes.
You can pardon yourself.
Yes. If he's the president of the United States, he has that authority, which I find to be absurd. He wants full immunity. He wants full immunity.
Well, that needs to go to the Supreme Court. That needs to be a line. That needs to be figured out where that line stops because it's very vague, right? And there hasn't been a decision like this because the circumstances haven't come up like this. Now, if he's convicted of his felony, then he has an appeal process. If he loses that appeal, then he is guilty. There's no other choice about this. So I mean, even if he's found guilty right now, right, then he's got an appeal process.
Understood.
But that appeal process will take him through the election.
This is hard for me to say, but let's forget about all his legal problems. Right now, if the elections were tomorrow, would you vote for Donald Trump, Joe Biden, or not vote at all? Or where are your thoughts right now on the presidency?
I would vote party line. So I would vote for what the hell is his name? Trump.
So you would vote for Trump?
Yes.
Knowing that he's a liable sexual abuser, that doesn't bother
Is
you
he?
at all?
Is
yeah,
that-
proven in a courtroom.
In a civil court.
Yeah, liable. That's why I said
okay,
liable.
liable. Okay, civil court.
Does
but not
that
a criminal
bother you
court.
at all that a jury of his peers?
Nope. Civil
Why?
court?
Tell me why.
Because it's a civil court, civil matter. Civil court's a lot easier than criminal. It's not, guy's not criminal. He lost a civil case.
Mhm.
Civil cases are everything.
So what could Donald Trump do today that would change your mind? Is there anything he can do that Evan, you would say to yourself, geez, I really can't vote party
Well,
lines?
didn't he say he was going to walk out and if he shot somebody in the street, no
Fifth
one would say
Avenue.
anything? Probably that.
You're not one of those people.
No, no.
You're not one of those people. Okay,
No,
good.
no.
I'm
He
glad
was-
that there's
he was
something.
speaking
There's a line.
hyperbole, but
Okay, so
yeah.
I know you have a lot of criticisms for Joe Biden, and I'm happy to talk to you about that. You know I have a lot of criticisms for Donald Trump. I think he's a despicable human being. He's a horrible human being. He doesn't care about you and me. He only cares about himself. But why? Do you dislike Joe Biden that much that you would vote? You know that Donald Trump's a horrific
Okay,
human being.
Biden has lost his mind, dude.
Tell
Do you
me.
really believe
Tell
that Biden has all his cognitive ability?
Here's what I would say. Donald Trump does not have
Okay,
cognitive
no,
ability.
I'm right. No, that's
So,
nothing about Trump. I'm
Joe
asking
Biden,
you.
Sure,
Joe
I'll
Biden.
answer that.
Yeah.
Sure. I think Joe Biden is too old. He's certainly not the guy he was 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
True.
But I will say this about Joe Biden. I don't believe him to be a despicable human being. He's not a liable rapist. I don't believe.
I don't care about morality. I'm talking about the guy.
Well, I
having,
do. I do.
Okay,
I do.
Then great.
That's a big part
I'm
of it.
glad that the guy who can't even find himself off his stage and can't even conduct a sentence.
What do you mean he can't conduct a sentence? He did an hour and a half. This
Okay,
is where I
really,
disagree.
I mean, okay,
He-
serious, okay.
what do you
No,
mean he can't put a
You're
sentence together?
absolutely. No, I misspoke. Obviously, Biden does not have a problem like this. So even when the
He's
press,
81 years old.
okay, then he should not be in office because he should just
Okay.
he should have his vice president run for office.
Okay.
They would win.
So here's my opinion on that, and you might be surprised. I don't think you should be above the age of 70 and be the president of the United States. I think that's too old. However, these are the choices that we have. Joe Biden isn't my first. He's not my second. He's not my third choice. So I wouldn't agree with your characterization or people say, well, he's got Alzheimer's. He's an 81-year-old man. He's
Right.
not young. He's not the guy he was 5 or 10 years ago, but I still choose him over Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the guy in the last several months that thought that you need ID to vote to buy bread. He's the guy who confused Nancy Pelosi with Nikki Haley. He's the guy that said
How many times did Biden confuse someone with somebody else?
They both
Didn't
have
didn't
gaps.
Obama say there's 52 states? Everybody makes gaps.
I agree,
Yeah.
but you're making the case that Joe Biden is just worse than everybody else. He's old.
No,
Okay.
no. He's too old, and he's to be in office right now. It's pretty obvious. The
So-
guy is too old to be office. I'm not saying that he shouldn't win.
Donald Trump's not too old to be in office. In his late
No, no,
70s.
no. Okay, I'm okay. His cognitive ability is not have him capable enough to hold this office.
And you think Donald Trump's cognitive ability, this is a guy who just said Jeb Bush got us into the war in Iraq. This is a guy, and if you want to call it a gaffe, that's fine. He said that a couple months ago. He said
did he said to get the wrong Bush?
he said he defeated Barack Obama. It's on audio. So I know it's funny, but if you're going to make that case about Joe Biden, why not make
No, and you're absolutely right. We'll revisit this later.
Okay, fair enough. I'm just making that case.
We'll see when the pressures of the campaign get to both of these individuals.
Let's talk about policy.
Okay.
What do you, in your opinion, what are your worst Joe Biden policies? The things that he has done that you disagree with vehemently. Why you're running as a Republican, partially, I get it. You have to try to defeat Dina Titus. I get that.
Yeah.
What are your policy disagreements with Democrats as a whole, or maybe the Joe Biden administration?
No, we all are here and here, but we all fight for this little spot right here in the middle, and that's not a problem, right? I have a problem with the immigration policy, the catch and release here in the United States, and that's caused an issue, and that's caused an issue with a lot of states and a lot of cities. Okay, and so other than that, I can't complain about how he's handling the economy because every president handles it different, and every economy is different for every president, and every president gets blamed for their economy, whether it's good or bad. So,
so you don't like his immigration stance
Yes.
on immigration? Okay, fair enough. Let me ask you this: you have a bipartisan bill that was put together with MAGA Republicans, Langford and other MAGA Republicans. They sat at the table. It wasn't perfect. Both sides said they didn't get everything they wanted, but it would have addressed the problem and it would have helped. Also, aid to Ukraine, which, by the way, Mike Johnson and 161 people voted for. We should put aid for Israel and Ukraine. So most Republicans actually agree.
So they stacked that bill, aid for Israel and Ukraine together.
Yeah, and there was a lot of money being put forth towards the border, which a lot of people that work at the border said would have helped. And what happened? Donald Trump picks up the phone. We know this happened. He calls Mike Johnson and other Senate Republicans and says, don't vote for this bill unless it's perfect. As you know, Evan, there's no bill that's perfect. And I believe
And why not?
They didn't vote for this bill.
Why
Well, because you have- because
because the congressmen have to have their have to have graft.
Well, in simple layman's terms, I would say when Republicans and Democrats compromise, you're not going to get everything you want. That comes with any compromise, with any conversation, right?
Okay.
But these people, some of them who actually put the bill together with Democrats, voted against it after that phone call. This is the Donald Trump party, and my opinion, and I agree with you, we have many of issues at the border. I do believe it's a crisis. I'm not one that's ignoring it. And I'm not saying Joe Biden's been perfect either at the border. He hasn't. But this is a Republican and Democrat issue. It's an American issue. And here you have a bill that's a good start anyway. It's a compromise. And Republicans are the ones that shut it down. So if Republicans want to complain, not you, but if Republicans in general want to complain about the border, well, look at your people that are in office right now that voted against this bill. It's not perfect.
No, I'm looking at all of them and why they stack these bills together. Why you would tie Ukraine and Israel together for money. Why those couldn't be two separate bills. Ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. There needs to be line item veto in these bills. This has gone beyond the pale.
Mm-hmm.
They've stacked so much on this stuff so you can water it down. You can give your piece. Everybody gets a piece of this legislation, and then by the time it gets there, it's like everyone says the same thing. Well, it's not everything we wanted, but whatever.
Evan, I get what you're saying, and in a perfect world, I agree with you. Let's separate Ukraine. Let's separate Israel from this bill, and let's just focus on the border. I get it. I get your point.
But they put it all together.
I get it.
They got everything. Why? Because they were in a hurry to get off of vacation again. They just want to get these bills done, so they go off on vacation, and they all do the media dump on Friday, like so no one, doesn't matter which party's in charge, so that no one gets a clue what's going on. And these people are not given the bills until 2 days before these bills are supposed to be voted on.
For the record, I have my media dump every morning before the show, but that's another story for another day. But no, in all seriousness, Evan, this is a serious topic. But in all seriousness, I get what you are saying, but still, my point is still the same. It's not perfect. I get what you're saying. You put Ukraine and Israel in there. They're going to vote for aid to Ukraine and Israel anyway. Why not just vote yes on this and stop listening to Orange Man and just... It's a start. That's the point I'm trying to make. And they voted against it. We've had issues at the border for decades and decades and decades. It was a disaster under George W. Bush. I think we could agree on that. And I'm not going to sit here and say Donald Trump was perfect either. And then when they say they, meaning Trump supporters, say, why doesn't Biden shut the border down? Donald Trump didn't shut the border down either. He had the opportunity. And
No, he didn't have. All he did was the catch and release wasn't done. If you were caught over here, you were forced to stay in Mexico until your trial thing.
I understand that.
And so those people were not here in the country. That's the only thing that's changed.
Right.
That's the only thing that Biden changed.
Yes, and I understand that, and I don't necessarily agree with that. At the same time, Republicans and Democrats need to compromise. They haven't. Now, I think as a country, we've been weak on border security, and I am for border security.
And we should be. We're not that. We're the beacon. There's a reason people go to France, people go to Great Britain, people go to America. It's because we're not racist.
I get
because
you.
we're the freest country.
There are plenty of racist people in this country, and I'm going to give you examples of that. But when you hear Donald Trump, the rhetoric from people on the far right, they will make it sound like those who are undocumented are going to rape your kids, are going to rape your children. The overwhelming majority of these people, while they are breaking the law, coming into this country not legal, they're not horrible people. There are some bad people. But most of the illegal drugs coming into this country are not from undocumented people. They're coming from U.S. citizens. Most of the people, or at least a large portion of the people that are in this country illegally, are those who overstay their visas. Most of these people are not bad people. But if you listen to Donald Trump talk, these people, they're rapists, they're bad people, and I suppose some of them are good people. That is hateful rhetoric, and it's wrong. Will you agree with me on that? While there are some bad people that are undocumented, most of these people are not horrific people that are going to rape your kids.
Not
Can
a
we
problem.
agree
So
on that?
sure. What's the limit for how many people are 6 million?
There's a lot of people that are undocumented that are in this country. Somewhere around that number.
Yeah, let's
yes.
say 4.
Okay.
Okay, let's say
Sure,
4. So let's say 4 million. So how out of that 4 million, how many murders are we allowing, and how many
Well,
rapes are we allowing?
I wouldn't say we're allowing them.
No, I'm no. But what is the limit? You said
There is.
okay.
Listen,
These people who would not be here.
right. Let me be clear.
We're doing criminal.
One murder is too many.
Okay.
Whether you're undocumented or you're a U.S. citizen, the point I'm trying to make is per capita, you have a better chance, and you could look this up. You have a better chance of being the victim of a crime from someone who is a U.S. citizen per capita than somebody who is undocumented. I'm not saying every undocumented person in this country is a great person. I don't want bad people coming into this country. I get that. All I'm saying is the hateful rhetoric of making it seem like all these people coming in here, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. The far right and Donald Trump. I'm sick of that hateful rhetoric. Listen, it's disgusting what we saw in New York City, where undocumented people are attacking police officers and then they're freed the next day and they're flipping off the cameras. Those people should be deported. Okay. That's despicable. I agree with Republicans on that. Okay. But with that being said, I just don't like the hateful rhetoric and generalizing all people that are undocumented as rapists and bad people the way Donald Trump has. Animals. He uses the term animals. I don't like that rhetoric. It's dangerous. It's bigoted in nature. I don't want bad people in this country any more than you do.
Right.
I just don't like it when Donald Trump characterizes them as animals. And by the way, it's a lie. He wasn't just characterizing one person who committed a murder. He used the term animals, not animal. If he said that undocumented person that murdered that woman, he's an animal, I wouldn't have a problem with that. He's a murderer. Call him an animal. He uses the term animals and tries to characterize them all there. And I don't like that. That's the only point I'm trying to make.
And you were saying that was per capita, right?
Yeah, per capita.
But
Yep.
if they weren't here at all, then those murders wouldn't have occurred.
That is true. That is true. I don't want people undocumented in this country. I'd like them to go through the normal process that others go through.
Right.
I agree with you.
Okay.
But this is the situation that we're in. And if Republicans don't want to vote on this bill that would help, at least it's a start, then I don't want to hear them complain about it. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Oh no, you nailed it. Yeah. You can't complain about it when you didn't do anything about
Do
it.
something about it. Stop blaming Joe Biden for all of our problems. You know, it's the drugs too.
Oh yeah, the fentanyl.
300, and my sister died of a drug overdose last year. So trust me, this hits home. 300,000 people, Evan, died of drug overdoses under the Trump administration. I didn't blame Donald Trump for that, but the MAGAs didn't want to talk about that when it was happening under the Trump administration. Whether the number is higher now or not, to me, is not relevant. The relevant part of it is one person is too many.
Well, the only reason it's higher now is because the more drugs are coming in.
And I understand that, but if you talk to the people at the border and the people that know what's going on, they will. The statistics show you that U.S. citizens crossing the border are smuggling far more drugs than those that are undocumented that are crossing the border illegally. But we have a problem.
So how do you know if they've crossed the border illegally?
They're
if they were
caught. The
carrying
people that are
drugs?
caught.
But the ones that aren't caught.
We don't know. We don't know the people that aren't caught. We don't know who they are. We don't know. What we do know is that we have a problem at the border. It is a crisis, and Republicans and Democrats need to do something. Notice how I said both parties need to do something about it. I don't like it when Republicans blame one side of the aisle, and I wouldn't like it if Democrats were doing the same thing. Something needs to be done. There's a problem in this country. Let's stop characterizing all people that are undocumented as rapists, because that's absurd. And you know, listen, that's all. I'm pretty pragmatic on this. And it's frustrating. That's all. It's frustrating. With that being said, I know you don't like Joe Biden. You know, I get that. But unemployment rate is the lowest it's been in 50 years.
That's not true.
What do you mean it's not
That's
true?
not true, because most of the jobs were government jobs. The people have given up work. I wasn't prepared for this question. Next time I will be, but those figures are not correct.
So the
people are still looking for work, man.
Okay,
Yeah.
people are still looking for work, but the unemployment numbers right now are lower than they were before the pandemic when Donald Trump was president. That's a fact. That's not an opinion.
Oh, okay. And then the same factors for determining that number were used during the Trump administration.
My
and are being
understanding,
used
sure.
during-
My
Okay.
understanding
All
is
right.
yes. Manufacturing jobs, all-time high, wage gap.
Sure, I'm not. I
gas
don't have to
prices.
think. I'm not going to argue with you because
Sure,
I don't have to think. But
I
yeah, yeah.
understand. Gas prices, you know, not where a lot of people would like them to be, but they certainly. But the countries that we compare ourselves to, G7.
We don't compare ourselves to other
Well,
countries.
w-
We
it-
are America.
sometimes-
we are the beacon of freedom of the world.
But-
We stopped being the nation's police force, thank God.
Mhm.
But look at the turmoil we got going on now in Africa and all these other places. The world is like, for the longest time, right? First of all, the empires, they broke up after World War II. They broke up everything and they made all the countries and stuff. And they made the countries in a way that it would cause turmoil in the Middle East and all this stuff. So these guys would all be warring with each other. Now, they've all pulled out of there. And these people have not had their own civil wars. These wars are happening are between factions within their own
You look like
countries.
you were in the Civil War today, by the way.
Thank
Sorry.
you very much. It's not the Civil War, the American Revolution.
Yes.
That'd be a whole different uniform. I'll bring that one next time. And so what is happening in the world is just it's total turmoil. And we can't be the nation's police force.
Okay, but you said it. It's happening all over the world. I agree with you. Inflation, high gas prices.
I was about to get there. Yes, thank you.
I agree with you on that. The problem I have, again, is when Republicans want to blame Joe Biden for, by the way, an economy that's doing a hell of a lot better than a lot of other countries we compare ourselves to with inflation and gas prices. We have a war in the Ukraine. We were coming out of COVID. And when you look at where we were 3 years ago compared to now, we are doing a hell of a lot better. Now, if you don't want to give Joe Biden credit for that, that's fine. But don't blame him for gas prices either, because he doesn't set the gas prices. Don't blame
No,
him.
that's always crazy that you say that. But every time there's a Democrat president, the gas prices are higher than Republican president. Why is that?
That's not true. Look up George W. Bush and look up the
No,
gas
but
prices.
he had a war to pay for. He was paying for.
Oh, and Joe Biden's not paying for a war?
Okay.
He's not paying
No,
Ukraine.
okay.
He's not helping Ukraine. He's not helping Israel.
Why all of a sudden other people are they trying to stop the funding for Ukraine? Why?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because there are Marjorie Taylor Greens and the Tucker Carlson's type of people within the extreme right wing of the party that are rooting for Vladimir Putin. They want him to win. It is the Russian. Liz Cheney said it best. There is a Putin wing of the party. Now, I'll give Mike Johnson a lot of credit. I don't like Mike Johnson. He's a fake electorate piece of human garbage. However, he showed some leadership the other day, and he said, I'm willing to do what I believe is right. And he wants to help Ukraine and fund Ukraine. Now, if you want to make the argument we're sending them too much, that's a fair argument to have. But these aren't Democrats, okay? These are the majority of Republicans that do not want to fund Ukraine. Donald Trump has
But they did before.
Some
of them.
Not very willingly.
But they did.
But they did. And Donald Trump has he ever said anything negative about Vladimir Putin? Has he ever called him a dictator the way Joe Biden did? He invaded Ukraine, raping children, killing mothers in front of their kids. I've never heard Donald Trump forget about even calling him a murderer, a dictator.
Why? Does Biden call China murderers, dictators?
Joe Biden has certainly had a lot of criticism for the president.
It's called them murderers or dictators? Aren't they murderers and dictators?
I cannot recall Joe Biden ever using that word for the president of China. But if you recall, under the Trump administration,
Did he do it to the Korean guy?
Kim Jong-un, he's never wrote him love letters the way Donald Trump has.
But he's ever called him a tyrant, a terrorist?
I think he used the term evil regime.
Did he? Okay.
Yes, evil regime is he's used. I
Right.
remember that. Donald Trump has written Kim Jong-un love letters. He has constantly praised Vladimir Putin. He even praised China during the pandemic. So we can go back and forth on this, but the bottom line here is the far right extreme MAGA Republicans, in my opinion, are pro-Russia. They call people in Ukraine Nazis. Even John F. Kennedy Jr. I'm sorry, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Not John F. Kennedy Jr.
Oh
Robert,
my God!
Yeah.
You just trumped or Biden's. What was that?
I just had a gaffe. I must have Alzheimer's. I'm in the Brian bunker.
You're too old to do radio, man.
But even Robert F.
You're too
Kennedy Jr. I've seen him doing a couple speeches here in Vegas. He blamed Ukraine for the war. I'm like, are you crazy? Are you nuts? You could have criticism for the Ukrainian government. Vladimir Putin decided to invade Ukraine. It wasn't Zelensky that wanted this.
Didn't Ukraine have nuclear weapons?
I don't know their weaponry or their capabilities.
They had nuclear weapons.
But that's not why Vladimir Putin
I know,
went in there.
but I'm getting to a point here. And so we told them that if they gave up their nuclear weapons, we would defend them.
Well, we have defend Ukraine. I don't know what their nuclear capabilities are. I know that Ukraine is our ally. I know that.
Yeah, no, Ukraine had nuclear weapons, but they gave them up, and we told them we would defend them if someone attacked them.
Right.
If they gave up their nuclear weapons.
And if that's the case, then we need to do that.
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
we? I mean, we
But-
need to do that.
But the reason why a lot of these guys have slowed down and stuff now, whatever party is in power during a war makes a lot of money, flat out.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know too much about ordnance, but let's say we'll just take for example what's being used mostly, artillery shells. They got a shelf life of 30, 40 years, right? And right now, all of our stockpiles are gone. because we sent them all over there. And now, in order to give them the weapons and stuff that they need, we have to buy them from other countries. The same thing Russia is doing, buying these things from other companies.
Yeah.
So at some point now, we've got rid of all of our stockpiles, which we've already spent the money on, and we've made money on them, or we've just given them away, right? So now the industrial complex, the war industrial complex, now has to replenish all of those.
Mm-hmm.
So there is the reason why some of these people have dropped out and why some of these people are still in.
Mm-hmm.
Because the money being made on this war.
There's no question that money is being made. Money is being made on, you can talk about the vaccines, you could talk about any war. You could talk about the war in Iraq when we
Yes.
didn't find weapons of mass
There you
destruction.
go. Yes, right.
I don't disagree with you, but I think fundamentally we would probably agree that Vladimir Putin decided to invade Ukraine.
Yes. Well, and if we don't stop him there, he took over the first part, and we didn't say anything. And that's the history of Russia. They take the land, and then when no one said anything, they take some more land.
Sure.
And then when no one says, they take in some more
You
land.
want Ukraine to win this war?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. There are some Republicans that would not answer the question that way.
Well,
Before-
no, we've already lost
Sure.
it because we could have given them everything they needed, and this thing could have been over in 6 months.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. Let me ask you this, since you're running as a Republican, and by the way, we'll take some phone calls on the other side of the break. What do Republicans stand for today? When I think Republicans, I could have answered that question, Evan, 10 years ago. You know what I think Republicans stand for now? Tell me if you disagree with me. And by the way, I'm not labeling every Republican like this, MAGA Republicans. Drag queens are the worst. The sky is falling with drag queen reading. We want to make it easier for people to get guns because more guns apparently make us safer. They want to, anti-gay marriage, transgenders, and gender ideology. Oh my God, let's tell people what to do with their bodies. In Arizona, this is crazy stuff. If a woman is raped or the victim of incest, the Supreme Court there has ruled that you should be forced to have that child. They're on the wrong side of abortion because most of America believes in the right to choose, at least 60%. I have no idea what Republicans stand for. They blame, they want to talk about Obamacare. They have no replacement plan. They have no solution.
There should not have been a replacement plan. The thing should never have been put in place in the first place.
Okay, maybe, but if you're going to complain about Obamacare, then give me something better. Isn't that logical?
No, you should have done it in the first place because now the government controls healthcare. Then what that does is that it stifles the ability or the ingenuity or the wantingness to make more and better medicine because you're not rewarded by your extra endeavors by making money.
You want medicine to be cheaper for Americans. Is that a fair characterization of your position?
Yes.
Okay.
And because it's subsidized by the government.
So Joe Biden lowered the cost of insulin
How?
And some pharmaceutical drugs.
By subsidizing.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And they've already subsidized it before. They're subsidizing the subsidization.
Okay. My point, though, and we can get into that, but my point is, if you're going to complain about Obamacare, and they claim, as Trump did in 2 weeks, we're going to have a replacement plan, and you don't have one, doesn't that make you a hypocrite?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Why didn't they have their plan? I don't know.
Exactly.
Am
I wrong about what do Republicans stand for today?
Well, because they don't know what right now the party is divided. They don't know if they want to be on the Trump side or if they want to be on the traditional Republican side or on the new wave Republican side. And so they're kind of like all doing this, trying to figure out which stream is going to go faster. And then they're going to jump over into that stream.
Okay, I get that. But Republicans today, you're running for office as a Republican against Dina Titus, even though I would call you more leaning in the middle or libertarian side. But I have no idea what if you ask me what Democrats stand for today, I can give you a general idea because it would be the same answer I would have given you 10 years ago. They want equality. They want equal pay.
Okay, so Republicans don't want equality or equal pay?
What's that?
Republicans don't want equality or equal pay.
Most of the Republicans that are in office certainly don't want to raise the minimum wage. Most Republicans that are
that's not equal pay. That's a forced payment by the government.
I understand that, but if you look at equality, they're against affirmative action. They're against basically every government program that could help the poor. They're against welfare. They're against food stamps. They're against maternity leave. Republicans vote against almost every government program that would help a minority or help someone who is struggling financially.
Fine. What are the two minorities that are helped the most?
What are the two minorities that are helped the most? I don't know the answer to that question. I don't have the statistics in front of me, but all I'm trying to tell you is that if minorities are being helped, it's not because of Republicans. They vote against every government program.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying that.
Yeah.
So I would say probably Black Americans and Native Americans.
Okay. You think they're being helped enough?
Are helped the most.
Okay.
They're subsidized the most. They're given the most help, including with affirmative action. Right. So why are they still the poorest?
Well, I think there's a lot of reasons for that. So I can answer your question with a question. Why are black people as a whole in this country not paid the same as white people in the same jobs? Why is that?
Where? That's against the law. Where is this happening?
As a whole, when you look at the statistics.
Okay, but that's fine. The statistics are fine. But where is this happening? This is against the law. Where's the example?
Well, sure,
I mean,
racial discrimination is against the law.
Yeah.
But do you agree with me that there is systemic racism in this country?
No.
Okay, let me ask you a question then on that, because this is an important topic. I'll give you an example of why I believe there is systemic racism. Ahmaud Arbery. Are you familiar with the Ahmaud Arbery case? He was a black man jogging in a town where I believe
the rednecks in the truck.
Yes.
Yeah.
So 3 white men lynched him. That night, 12 officers saw the video of that lynching. There were no arrests made. They told the mother of Ahmaud Arbery that your son was the aggressor. He did the wrong, self-defense. It was put under the rug. Hold on. It was put under the rug by the top law enforcement and politicians in that town. They lied to Ahmaud Arbery's family. Why were they arrested and why were they charged and convicted of murder? Why? I'll tell you why. Because the third guy recorded it. And even though many of those officers saw the recording that day, they didn't do anything about it. But he released it to a news organization. It went public, and then they were arrested months later. Now, let me ask you a question. If Ahmaud Arbery was white and 3 black men did the exact same thing, by the way, Ahmaud Arbery wasn't breaking the law. He didn't do anything wrong. That was proven. If those were 3 black men that day that killed Ahmaud Arbery, let's pretend Ahmaud Arbery was white. Do you mean to tell me that those 3 black men wouldn't have been arrested that day? What do you think would have happened if the tide was turned? 3 black people killed Ahmaud Arbery, who was white.
Here's what really happened, as opposed to your hypothetical of what happened. There is racism, right? So, is it across the whole country and everywhere?
I didn't say that.
No.
I didn't say
You found thank God. It's a horrible situation that this person lost their life, but because of this, they were able to find out racism, systemic in a system, and they were able to root it out. That doesn't make the whole country racist.
I don't think the
what
whole
it does,
country's racist.
what it does is it showed people that you have a voice when you can find that there's wrong being done and you can do something about it.
I didn't
well,
say.
But now, if nothing had been done about this and had not come to exposure, then horrible.
How many times do these things happen when we don't find out about it? If
you
that,
don't know.
Okay.
Exactly. How many illegal aliens come across with carrying drugs? You don't know.
Do you know any stories of white people that were pulled over because of the color of their skin?
White people that were pulled over.
Tim Scott, who's a Republican, has said he was pulled over last year 10 times, he believes, because of the color of his skin. Am I saying all officers are racist? No way.
Why?
I'm pro-police.
Maybe he's a bad driver.
Come on.
No, come on.
I was in the car.
No, it makes for a great story when you're a politician, when you can claim racism like that.
You don't
does he have like?
You think black people are treated the same as white people in this country by law enforcement as a whole?
Okay, you're a police officer. Let's say you're a police officer, right? And majority of your crimes are conducted by, according to statistics, by black people, right? So, are you going to become more suspicious because the majority of
that's
your crimes?
racial profiling.
Is it?
Yeah. Just
Okay.
because the color of somebody's skin and you come up with a statistic doesn't mean you should assume that somebody's a criminal because of the color of their skin. I think that's awful. That's racial
So you
discrimination.
can't be like calling people like, brown skin or yellow skin or orange skin.
You can call people black or white, but the point I'm trying to make is you can't treat people differently because of the color of their skin.
Okay.
I believe that's wrong. And for law enforcement to do that, that's racial profiling and that's illegal.
Is it racial profiling?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
When you treat somebody different because of the color of their skin by law enforcement, that's exactly what it is.
And how are they being treated different? Because this politician said he was being pulled over more because of the color of his skin.
I've seen it with my own eyes.
Really?
I was in the car with a very successful black man who has a really good job in this town.
And
I was the passenger. The cop pulled him over, claimed that one of his lights were out. His light wasn't out, by the way, because we got out of the car and we looked. He harassed this individual.
Harassed him by how?
Pulling him over for no reason,
And
asking
when
him for his
and
ID
then when he-
without committing a crime.
Okay, so
or
when
suspicion of
he
committing a
pulled
crime.
over and the officer asked for his ID, did he say, hey, didn't have to give him his ID because he had no reason for pulling him over?
He said, "What did I do wrong? Why are you pulling me over?" First, he said,
"Okay, is this as he said, she said?"
No,
thing?
I was in the car. I saw it myself.
Okay,
I saw the
so
whole conversation.
Then tell me this conversation.
He said, "Why did you pull me over?"
Cop came up and said, "May I have your driver's
goes,
license and ID?" Or driver's
yes,
license,
yes.
insurance, please.
He said, "What did I do?" He didn't tell him at first. Then he said, "I don't have to give you my ID. What did I do
There
wrong?"
you go.
And then he said, "What did
There
I
you
do
go.
wrong?" And he said,
There you go.
Okay, but hold on.
No, you
It gets
right
worse.
there.
It
No,
gets
you know,
worse.
it started with him being hostile. All the police officer asked for was his driver's license.
Don't have to do that.
You don't have to do
No,
that.
you don't have to give somebody your ID unless you're a suspicion of committing a crime.
Uh-huh.
And he didn't articulate a crime. He said, "You're a suspicious person." And I said to myself, and I started to get involved. I said, "What do you mean suspicious person?" Then after
So you're
that,
both on the cop. So you were not even involved in the traffic citation. You were a passenger in this. So you're not even talking at all. So you involved yourself in this conversation to get involved with the cop.
I involved myself in the conversation because the officer was wrong and I know the law.
Oh, no, okay. So besides, but it's nothing to do with you. It's a civil interaction between a police officer.
It's an illegal pullover. It
no,
was
no,
illegal.
no. First of all, you are not a judge to
Well,
make
I know
that
the law.
decision.
I
You're
know
not,
the law.
Okay. Are you an attorney?
No,
you don't
but
make
I know the
no,
law.
but you don't make this decision there for them. For them. No, stop. You inserted yourself in a situation where you should not have. So you escalated the situation.
I disagree.
You escalated the situation.
I respectfully disagree.
Okay.
So you can't pull somebody over unless there is a reason. Okay. So then it went from, because the officer lied, "You're a suspicious person," which is a ridiculous statement. Why is he suspicious? You have to articulate a crime that you believe he committed. Then it went from, "I pulled you over because your taillight was out." We got out of the car. The taillight was not out. Eventually, after 10 minutes of harassment where he said, "Get out of the car," he refused to get out of the car because he didn't have to get out of the car. He let him go.
So he didn't cooperate at all.
He didn't. No.
No. First of all, you didn't cooperate at all. The police officer asked for, very simple, asked for your ID. Said, "No, I don't have to do that." Asked you to get out of the car. Said, "No, I don't have to do that."
Okay, so my definition of cooperation and you're completely different. You don't have to do unless what the law asked you to do. For example, if he gave the driver a legit reason for why he pulled them over, yes, you have to show ID and proof of insurance and all that stuff. He did not articulate anything. All he said was, "You're a suspicious person." You know when that conversation ended? When my friend said, "I want your supervisor here." And then after he asked for a supervisor, very interesting, he said, "Okay, you're free to go." That is harassment.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
Then why did he not file charges?
I told him he should have.
But he didn't.
He did not file a complaint. I told him he should have.
But he didn't.
Because you know what he said to me? "Brian, this happens to me a dozen times a year. You just witnessed it." Now, I tend to believe my friend. He's an honest, good, hardworking, good father, good husband. And I tend to believe him. You and I are not black. We don't know what it's like to be black. We don't know what it's like to be pulled over because of the color of our skin. We don't know what it's like to be followed in an electronics store based on our skin color because somebody might think we're going to steal something. So what I try to do, Evan, is I try to listen to people that have different experiences or people that look like us. And I listen to my friends.
But I'm responsible because my ancestors had slaves?
Well, I didn't say that.
Well, no, but
I didn't
there's racial profiling on both sides.
I
right?
didn't say that.
Okay.
All I'm simply saying is, and I have nothing to do with that. I don't have white guilt or anything like that. All I'm simply saying is I try to listen to people, and I think you do as well. You would as well, that has different life experiences that might look different than you and me. I listen to my friends. I listen to people that don't look like me. Most officers are heroes. I talk about them all the time. I try to call out really good policing and heroes. Most cops are heroes and they're good people.
But you never hear
Most
about
police. Well, that's not true. I talked about the shooting at UNLV. Those two cops are heroes. I can't wait to interview them. I shake.
Oh, yeah. No,
I
please.
shake when I
Wow,
see
that's
police
crazy.
officers out there. I shake their hand and I say thank you for what you do.
Yeah, especially where
But-
all that went down. Oh my God.
Absolutely.
That's crazy.
I think we can do both. I'm not Black Lives Matter fan of the organization. I'm Black Lives Matter for the, I guess you could call it the movement, right? The
movement and the organization are two different things.
Thank
Absolutely.
you. That,
Yeah.
Agree. So I am pro cop and I am pro Black Lives Matter movement. I want people treated the same as equals, but I'm also pro police, and most of them risk their life every day. That officer who was murdered in New York City, it is a tragedy. I personally know the fiance of a Las Vegas cop who lost his life a few years ago. It's horrible, right? But I also want people to be treated as equals. Now, that goes both ways. If you want a better relationship with cops, you could also be assertive and take the next steps to do so. But cops have the ability to do that as well. That's all I'm saying. And yes, I do believe we have systemic racism in this country. And I believe Donald Trump gave some of these people a platform to be more comfortable in their bigotry. Yes, I do believe that. Why are there so few minorities within the Republican Party compared to the Democrat Party? Explain that to me.
Is there?
Absolutely. Look at the statistics.
We'll have to.
Yeah, I mean there are less women and there are less minorities, and far less within the Republican Party. There are some.
Because their Republican husbands won't let them run?
No, I think. Well, why do Republicans get less than 15% of the black vote? Why is that? Are they just uneducated on the issues?
I don't know. We'll
Why?
see what the next election happens.
Okay, well, Trump got less than 15% in 2016. He got less than 15% of the black vote in
You
2020.
say 15 or 50?
15.
15, okay.
Very low numbers. Why? Why? Why do you think?
I don't know.
I could come up with my
Tell me.
assertions.
Tell me.
I think the Democrat Party has done far more, or at least attempts to do more, for minorities in this country than the Republican Party does. That's what I think.
By giving them a
Policy, helping the poor. Donald Trump had the highest tax breaks for the top 1% in this country in the history of this country. CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. He just held by the way, I have a billionaire friend of mine who was at Mar-a-Lago who told me he promised them all huge tax cuts. Huge tax cuts.
Huge. Say it right.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge. Well, here's what I want to do, because I know, Evan, we've talked about a lot of serious topics. It's a good conversation. I know a lot of people are waiting to talk to you. So what do you say we take a break and then take some phone calls?
Bring it.
I love Evan Stone's getup, by the way. I love the fact that I could talk to him about the adult entertainment industry, or I can get into really good political discussions with him on policy. Evan's a smart guy. He's running to be your next congressman in District 1 against Dina Titus. So we are going to talk about that when we come back. And I want to open up the phone lines. I know people are already waiting patiently on hold. Here is the number, 702-221-7283. Again, if you'd like to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-SAVE, 702-221-7283. You have a chance to talk to Evan Stone, arguably the most famous male porn star on the planet. I love the guy like he's my brother. And I'm very jealous of him, I'll be honest with you. But he's now wants to, he's putting himself in the hat. I give him credit. He wants to be your next congressman. We're going to take your phone calls when we come back. I know there's a lot of people that want to talk to Evan. 702-221-7283. You can ask him about any of the important issues we've talked about. Heck, you could even ask him about Stormy Daniels. He'll answer anything. We'll take a quick break. We'll take your phone calls on the other side. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
My name is Hunter Kane, and I'm talking with you for a call to action for our veterans in Clark County. Who is Hunter Kane? Well, I'm a decorated combat veteran, veteran community leader, and candidate for Clark County Commission. Do you know no veteran has served on the commission in nearly 30 years, which is why our veteran homelessness, unemployment, and suicide rates are out of control. So here's the call to action. June 11th, vote veteran, vote Kane for Clark County. Let's rally behind someone who's been in the trenches, who knows the sacrifices, and who's committed to making a real difference. Join the campaign by searching Elect Hunter Kane on social media, or go to www.electhunterkane.com.
Did you know that 99% of air conditioning issues start with airflow issues? Well, guess what? Pioneer Air has your back. They've been operating for 20 years in the industry within the Las Vegas area, large enough to handle all your air conditioning and heating needs, but small enough to know your first name. Pioneer Air focuses on preventative care, much like wellness checks for humans. They believe in wellness checks for air conditioning and heating systems to extend the life of the system you own. So what are you waiting for? Schedule your wellness check with Pioneer Air today. The number to call is 702-831-4840. Here's the best news. Mention this ad and you'll receive 10% off. Call Pioneer Air today. 702-831-4840. That number again, 702-831-4840.
Who would have thought there'd be so many kids playing ice hockey in the desert? Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, founded by Gina Yusufzai 8 years ago, made it possible for families who can't afford the equipment and fees. Donate today at www.hockeyforkids.org and help us continue making a difference. Join us in supporting Jake Helb's Hockey Foundation and the Las Vegas Ice Warriors, where every kid gets a shot at the starting line. Just a reminder, our website is www.hockeyforkids.org.
Residents of Las Vegas Ward 5, are you ready for a brighter future? I would like to introduce myself, Dr. Erica Smith, your People's Choice for City Council, with a vision for progress and the fortitude to make it happen. I am committed to moving us forward. I am not just a candidate, I am a fighter for you. With myself on the City Council, you can expect a real change and a community that thrives. Vote for Dr. Erica Smith because together we're building a better tomorrow. To learn more about me and my campaign, go to www.ericaforlasvegas.com, paid for by the Vote Dr. Smith Committee.
Voters want safe gun reform, ban military assault weapons, including AR-15s, have universal background checks, and red flag laws. I am Eva Chase, a candidate for Nevada State Assembly District 16, U.S. Air Force veteran, college graduate, progressive independent candidate, fully transitioned transgender woman, former lieutenant governor candidate for Nevada in 2022, where I received 7,212 votes in the Democratic primary. Follow me on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok. Donate to my campaign bot fund account and stay progressive.
All right, welcome back. It's Pushing the Limits. I love the music on a Friday. We've got one of the guys who I think wrote the Constitution. I don't know. Very famous male porn star, but now he's running for Congress, Evan Stone, joining us in studio. Also join me. I'll probably be there this weekend. Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. My favorite gaming bar in town. Great food, great atmosphere, great bartenders, great entertainment. It's always fun going to Jackson's Bar and Grill. Please check them out at Flamingo and Jones. The very distinguished Evan Stone. Evan, what do you say we get right to the phone calls? We have a lot of people that want to talk to you.
Let's do that. I did sign the Constitution, Evan Hancock.
By the way, I could say that most of the people on the far right are against what he does for a living, but I would never bring that up, right? I would never do that.
Oh, I hope they do.
That's true.
Certainly
It's
hope
true.
they do.
Democrats are more on your side than Republicans when it comes to the porn industry. You
Well,
have
no,
to.
it's a losing battle. It's freedom of speech.
I know it
and it's already been established. What they're trying to do now, the Republican Party, which I'm here to halt, stop, or abort, is they're attempting to make with the age stuff like this. They're trying to make the government responsible for censoring the content that comes across your computer. It's not the government's job to censor the content. When does the government stop? I used to masturbate to what's it called? National Geographic.
Oh, I thought you were going to say to Donald Trump.
No,
I'm sorry.
National Geographic.
Oh,
When the native girls from Africa, right? And that was like, so I mean,
Did you really? Wow.
So at what point? Because that was the only thing that was available back then. All right. So at what point does the government say, okay, so if a girl is if the girl is rubbing another girl down with oil, okay, that's
Evan, I'm with you.
that's
Hold on
okay.
a second. I'm with you. Okay. But the Republican Party like to call themselves less government. They don't want government involvement, yet they want to tell you. They want to tell you what to do for a living. They want to tell you who you can pleasure yourself to. They want to know about what sexual orientation you are. You're running as a Republican.
I know. It's gonna.
They're against your industry,
It's
Evan.
gonna be beautiful, baby.
All right. Well, I'm on your side. You
It's
know I'm
gonna
on
be
your side.
beautiful, baby.
Okay. Let's take some phone calls. 702-221-7283, 702-221-SAVE. Let's go to Carl. Carl, you're on with the legend, Evan Stone. What's going on, Carl?
Yeah, but Mr. Stone, I got 2 quick points to bring up with you real quick. Number one is as far as Trump, the first thing is everybody says he's such a wonderful businessman. Well, there is not one bank in the United States who will loan him a nickel, and they don't care about somebody's morality. It's what kind of a businessman they were, because he scammed every one of his businesses were a scam. He scammed everybody out of everything, and a bank will not. A bank wants to make money, but they won't lend him a
All
nickel.
right, let's start with that.
Point.
Let's start with that, Carl. Evan, what's your response to that? Some of the people on the right saying Trump's a great businessman.
He's had some great business deals. He's built some amazing buildings. He's done some amazing stuff. And you're not going to do a bunch of business and not have people pissed off of you because they didn't feel like they had a good business deal. I've had a lot of business.
He owes more on his. He owes more on his building. Let me tell you something. You and me and Brian could probably buy and sell him, because your net worth is what your assets against your debts. Mm-hmm. He owes far more than he's worth.
Well, I will say this.
So
Hold on, Carl. Thousands of civil lawsuits before he ever became president of the United States. He and his father were sued for they didn't want black people living in some of their buildings.
Yes.
Many of businesses have filed for bankruptcy. Trump University was a snake oil salesman type deal. His father gave him a $500 million company when he was very young, basically just handed it to him. You know, is he good at manipulating the media? Is he good at self-promotion? Sure, absolutely. I wouldn't go as far as to say he's a good businessman. I mean, that's just me.
Right.
I don't think he's a very good. I think Mark Cuban is a good businessman. Nobody gave him anything. He earned it. And you look at Donald Trump and all of his businesses that have gone down the toilet, whether it be his water or his casinos, you know, that have filed for bankruptcy. I personally, no, I don't think Donald Trump's a very good businessman at all.
My second final point is systemic racism. You know, Brian, that before I retired, I was a psychologist. Anyway, I appeared on did some bits on TV stations in Los Angeles years ago. And one of them wanted to try something for systemic racism. What they did is they got a black businessman. He was dressed in a very expensive suit, drove a Mercedes, and they sent him through some of the most expensive areas of Los Angeles with a recorder in the car. 10 times he drove through his areas. 10 times he was stopped.
I believe it.
And the same questions were, where were you going? Who are you? Where have you been?
Listen,
where are you going?
Carl, I'm on your side, and that's the point, you know, I'm making, you know, or at least that I try to make on this show, Carl. I appreciate your call, Carl. Let's get to another caller, 702-221-7283. Why don't we go to Roy? Roy, hi. Thanks for calling in. You're on with Evan. Go right ahead.
Hi, Brian. Hi, Evan. The first thing I'll say is I agree with Carl. He's a terrible businessman. He's had 6 bankruptcies. He doesn't pay his bills. That's why his entire life has been courtroom, although he don't normally go unless it's a criminal trial. And the whole Republican Party's agenda is against every minority, whether it's blacks, whether it's gays. All they care, and now they're against books. Their whole agenda is very simply to decrease taxes for the very, very wealthy and the giant corporations. They don't do a damn thing for the average person in this country.
Well, let's let Evan.
Never have.
Let's let Evan. Go ahead, Evan. What do you make of that?
You want to fix it? Do you want to fix it? The only way to fix it is you have a fixed tax. That's the only way to do this. That way, it stops rewarding all these people, and it stops rewarding the states.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's not going to be able. It's not going to be able to be done at a level of the office that I'm achieving. This is going to have to be done by a convention of states, which means all the states get together and say, screw you to the government, and they put a constitutional provision, or an amendment, as you will, into the Constitution that eliminates all the other tax and makes this the tax. So what you have now is the government rewards businesses, whatever party's in charge, rewards the businesses they love, and they penalize the businesses they don't do with tax code, right? And all the people that suffer for it is us.
Go ahead.
They don't give a chance for the poorer and average people in this country to get ahead. They really don't. The rules, the laws, the tax laws are so skewed towards the wealthy. I've mentioned this before on your show, Brian. The stepped-up basis at the time of death is a joke.
Listen,
we all agree on that.
I don't
man.
disagree with you
Absolutely.
there, Roy, and I also agree with Evan that I think a fixed tax would certainly work. Roy, I appreciate you calling in.
But there's a problem. There's a problem with the fixed tax. Do you let's say you decide you want a 10% fixed tax, okay?
Yep.
How does somebody making $40,000 a year pay 10% of that money, and someone making $20 million a year?
Okay, so I agree.
$2 million means
I
nothing.
think
You have to have a graduated
Yeah. So
tax.
Roy, I also agree with Roy. I think you both can be right to an extent.
you can do graduated.
Somebody making $40,000 a year, in my opinion, should not pay the same percentage as somebody making $4 billion a year.
That could all be figured out. Absolutely.
Okay, so you agree with that as well?
Sure.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so you agree we agree on that. I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
a very
yeah.
fair approach. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. I believe we have Fernando from Las Vegas calling in. Fernando, thanks for buzzing in. You're on with Evan Stone. Go right ahead.
Yeah, hey guys. Yes, Mr. Stone, are you for abortion?
Let me tell you what's going on with the abortion thing. It's real simple. It is a woman's body. It's a woman's choice, which that should extend all the way to prostitution. So, but that being said,
interesting.
That being said, the morals of a country and their laws are made by the majority of the people and their morals and their laws. Wait, I'm about to finish this one. 2 sentences. So
how many times has Evan said that in his career? I'm about to finish. I'm about to finish. I'm sorry.
One
go
second.
ahead.
I'm almost there. Wait.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
no question.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't need a letter.
So It has to be a decision has to be made when a life actually starts. I don't care if it's wherever
Right.
it is,
Agree.
but a decision has to be made because right now you can be thrown in jail for double homicide for killing a pregnant girl, or they could get the baby out and save the baby.
Fair point.
Or that girl could go that next day and go get an abortion.
But you
So-
agree with me, Evan, that if a woman is raped or the victim of incest, what they're doing in Arizona is crazy. Can we-
How are the people of Arizona
The Supreme
allowing?
Court.
I know. Okay, the Supreme Court is appointed.
Yeah.
Of that state, like of most of the other states, right?
Yeah, yeah.
By the legislation in that state, those people got to go.
Agree.
That's those people.
Agree.
But like I said, so politics is all decided at a local level. So those people decided in that state, that's what they're going to do. So more power to them in that state. Go to another state. Live in a different state where people share your same morals.
I guess
and
so,
morality.
I guess so, but you shouldn't force people to move to another state
Then-
because
then-
a young girl is
okay,
raped and she's forced to have a child.
But
Is
the
insane.
majority of people in that state believe a different way.
But unfortunately,
One
the people
more-
in that state didn't vote. It was the Supreme Court. Go ahead, Fernando.
One more quick question, Mr. Stone. Is Lena Paul hot or what?
10.
Thanks for the call. I don't know who that is. I'll be honest with you. I don't know who that is. 702-221-7283. John Hancock. Oh, okay. John Hancock. Let's go to Eric. Eric is next on Pushing the Limits. You're on with Evan Stone. Go ahead, Eric. Thanks for calling in.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Good.
Hey, I just wanted to call in. You guys were talking about systemic racism with your black friend. I wanted to add, just kind of see what he thought, going back to the Joe Arpaio days in Maricopa County.
Yeah.
My wife was going to ASU about 19 years ago. She was pulled over 130 times throughout the year.
Mm-hmm.
Every time they said, we are pulling you over specifically to check your status in the country. My wife's Hispanic.
130 times?
Yes.
You should have lawyered up.
That is insane. I'm sorry, your wife. That's
went-
horrible.
She went after him. She did go after him.
Good.
That's horrible.
Also,
Can I ask you a question, Eric?
my daughter-
hold on,
Yes.
Eric. I'll let you talk about your daughter. I just want to ask you a question real quick.
Hey.
If your wife, this is your wife we're talking about, Eric?
Yes.
Does that happen if your wife is white?
No.
Okay, thank you. That's the point I was trying to make. I'm sorry, Eric, your wife
Okay.
had to go through that. Go ahead.
Yeah. And my daughter, and this after her mom had passed away, she is 16 years old, stopped by a friend's house in Tolleson, which is a Phoenix suburb. Getting ready to go back on the freeway. I was living in Tombstone, Arizona at the time, to come see me.
Mm-hmm.
She was living with, after her mom died, her aunt and uncle got custody of her.
Yeah.
And I wasn't able to keep her being everything that's going on. But she got pulled over. She had her driver's license, social security card, and birth certificate with her. They said that was not good enough. They hauled her off and took her into custody to check her status.
That's horrible. And that's illegal, by the
Yeah.
way. Yeah. Evan, do you
Yeah.
believe this man? He seems like a nice man. Do you believe him?
Well, I mean, it's just a story. I mean, you should have lawyered up, and you should have taken him to court. I mean,
Did you, Eric? Did you?
Yes, she got a settlement out of them also.
Yes, good on
Okay,
her.
so it's good that she got a settlement,
Yeah.
but it should have never happened in the first
No,
place.
but it did happen, and because she had a settlement, it'll bring more attention to those people that are actually out there doing this.
But it's still
Yeah.
happening.
Okay, but it's not a majority of stuff that's happening. This is a small amount of stuff that's actually happening.
But it shouldn't be happening.
No,
I
it
think we all
shouldn't be
can agree on
happening,
that.
but it does happen.
Eric, I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm glad you held them to account, my friend. I'm sorry about your daughter and your
Yeah.
this is horrible stuff, my friend. Please call back anytime, and I appreciate you sharing your stories because it's important for people to know.
Right.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate
Exactly.
you, my friend.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
8675309.
Good song, by the way. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. We have one phone line open. Let's go to Paul. Paul is next up on Pushing the Limits. You're talking to the very distinguished adult film star, Evan Stone. Go ahead, Paul.
Hey, question for you, Evan. I'm just curious, and this is just not a judgmental because I know how conservatives vote. How are you? Conservatives are very, quote unquote, family values, Bible, Jesus. How are you going to go after the votes of these evangelicals as a porn star? Like, what is your plan for that? I'm not judging you. What you do is your business, but how are you going to convince these people to vote for you in Nevada?
Why are you judging me?
No, I'm not.
No, okay. It's real simple, man. I'm the number one guy in porn. I've gone from beginning in this industry to controlling my position in this industry to be the number one guy, right? So I understand people. My whole business, is communication, is understanding, people in their comfort levels. And that is the whole thing that's not happening in government. Now, Republicans can do whatever they want and say whatever they want. There's no skeletons in my closet because it's all skeletons, and the whole house is full of closets. So to make this real simple, you cannot. It's the First Amendment to do this, right? The government cannot censor.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Okay. So, and my choice was not to have to go with the family element, not to have the house, the 2.5 kids, the dog, and the garage, and this other stuff. I chose a different path. I cannot be penalized, should not be penalized, and will not be penalized by someone's opinion of the path I chose. We are all Americans. I chose a different path, and because I chose a different path in this great country, it's the path that I chose is going to take me to the position I want to have to help this country.
Right. No, and I'm only asking that because one of the first comments you made was, when he brought up the fact about Trump sexually assaulting Jean Carroll, he goes, well, that's an issue of morality. But the reality is a lot of people vote on emotions and what they, quote unquote, view as morality. So I still think, I'm not saying I agree with Ryan 100% on all this, but people do vote on morality. Like, if I happen to be a person of faith and I'm like, well, great, I'm going to sit down with my daughter and be like, yeah, I voted for Trump. I like his policies. Yeah, he raped somebody. Yeah, he had sex with a porn star while he calls himself a Christian, and he's at home and his pregnant wife sitting at the dinner table. But you know what? I really like his policy, so who cares about morality? I think most people do have a balance of, yes, liking the policies, but the morality. Is that a fair statement?
No, Christians, you are supposed to forgive and move on. That is the whole thing.
So can I vote for Hitler because he had a good tax plan?
I'm sorry, what?
He said, "Could I vote for Hitler if he had a good tax plan?"
Oh, sure. That's a total comparison.
Because nobody's perfect.
Right. No, it's a total comparison. No, you're absolutely right.
He's being sarcastic.
No, but but I'm saying I'm not trying to be facetious. That's not my point. My point is we could do anything, right? I could vote for David Koresh because if we always say that nobody's perfect,
and you should, if that's who you feel you should vote for. I am telling you that there's no reason, because I believe in a let's say in a God, right? Whoever God that you want to believe in, that's fine. I believe in a God, and I believe that in there is a universal karma for the universe, right? That life grows, and life is going to continue to grow, and love is all part of that.
Yeah.
Right. So we all agree of that. Now, sometimes people stray from their faith. I don't care what faith it is. You go stray from your faith, but you come back to your faith.
Yeah.
Right. And because we're all human, we all make mistakes. That is the whole thing.
Okay. So by the way, Paul, I appreciate your call. Really good questions. I will say this. I think there are levels of mistakes that you can make. I think when you lie about an election and incite January 6th, and when you live the life that Donald Trump has lived, I think it's far different than, for example, somebody making a mistake or going through a stop sign or getting caught speeding or locking your keys in your car. There are different levels of mistakes. I hear what you're saying, Evan, but I don't believe Donald Trump has made a lot of mistakes. I think he's a despicable human being, the way he's treated people, particularly women, in his life. He's a snake oil salesman. He's a liar. And in my opinion, he will be a criminal very, very soon. Let's take some more calls. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Julie. Julie is next up on Pushing Limits. Go ahead, Julie.
Hello, I have two questions, and you were mentioning, Brian, that the gas price is not, Biden is not responsible, but I want to ask you something. Why Dubai, the gas price is so cheap?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that again? I didn't understand. Evan, did you hear what
Yes. Why is gas so cheap in Dubai?
You're asking me something about Dubai?
Yes. Why do you think in Dubai the gas price is so cheap?
Why? What is the gas?
Do you have any idea?
Well, yeah, I do have an idea, because they print money over there because of the oil, and they have boatloads of money in Dubai. I actually know people that live in Dubai, and they have more money than God there, and they have more oil than God there. That's why. It's very, very simple. It's supply and demand. Very simple answer. Very simple.
No, it's because
What do
they
you
are
mean?
one of the
What do you mean?
exporters
Hold
of
on a
oil.
second. Hold on a second. What do you mean, no, Julie? Are you? I was going to ask you if you're crazy, but I think we all know the answer to
So
that.
supply and demand. That's very, very interesting because supply and demand. So always the Democrats cut back the supply, increasing demand. That's why the gas prices go up.
Okay, well, there are over 900 sites right now, oil sites now that Biden allowed, and those are all not being used at this point. But she's asking me about Dubai.
Oh.
Julie, with all due respect, they print money over
No,
there.
because I want to mention that because if you don't allow competition, you don't reduce the price.
Okay, let's go with that. Okay, let's go with competition. Do you know that the oil companies in this country have the highest record profits that they've had in 50 years? Julie, are you aware in the last several years, the oil companies in the United States of America
Are subsidized.
they have record profits, Julie.
And they're still subsidized.
Okay, but they have record. That's just a true. Julie, I got to get to some other callers. I'm sorry, and then I have a guest coming up, so we got to get to some other callers.
Curious of what the gas price in Dubai is now.
Yeah, well, it is cheap. She's right about that. Let's go to Harold. Harold is next. Hello, Harold.
Free Jenna Presley! Free Rocco Reed!
I don't understand a word Harold just said. He sounded like Evan Stone when Evan Stone is reaching climax there. 702-221-7283.
Step back, put on your goggles.
Let's go to. Oh, it's so funny. Let's go to Julian. Julian is next. What's up, Julian?
Hey, how are y'all doing?
We're doing okay. What's up?
Real quick, in terms of gas prices, I would highly recommend that y'all look up the Trump OPEC deal that happened during the pandemic and the impact on in the United States. We are actually producing more than we ever did before, but gas is a global commodity.
Sure.
In terms of like the Democrats versus Republicans, and that OPEC deal had a massive impact. Another point I just want to address before I get into a question is before y'all brought up the border deal, and Mr. Stone pointed out that he wanted line item issues. I would like to point out that was originally a foreign aid deal that the Republicans went and said, we will not do this deal unless you address the border within it. And so that's why a Republican senator is the one who wrote the border part of that deal. But originally it was a foreign aid package, which is why that bill did not include anything like DACA protections or any other things that the Democrats want within an immigration bill. If there is going to be a immigration bill, there's going to be a lot more into it than just like basically security.
My callers are sometimes very, very intelligent, Evan. You're absolutely right.
that, yeah.
What would you say to that, Evan?
Which part?
Well, I mean, he's making the case.
I know I went through a lot, but but actually the question I wanted to ask Evan is, so you talked about how you were fine with Trump until he was convicted of a felony, and while there are many court cases going on right now that will not be done for a while. Do you not hold it against Trump the fact that many other people are being found guilty in these court cases, such as in Georgia?
Because you're innocent. Because you're innocent until proven guilty, flat out. Because Brian feels that Trump is guilty of everything he's ever been accused of.
That's not true.
No. You said he's guilty.
No,
all
I didn't
the
say.
time.
I said
but
I believe
you're innocent. Because this is not a banana republic. You are innocent until proven guilty in this country.
Let's go with that. Then what about almost the entire almost the entire Republican Party that calls Joe Biden the crime family when nothing has been proven in a court of law and there's no real direct evidence? What would you say to them?
Because it hasn't got to the court of law yet, has it?
You think they're you think Joe Biden, he's criminal and crime family?
Well, I guess we'll find out. I'm
asking your opinion.
I'm not party to this evidence. Do I believe
there is no evidence? There's none, Evan. They would have indicted him by now.
Okay.
There's no evidence.
What I would like to say,
it'll happen right before the election.
I agree. So I agree that we're not a banana republic, and in no way, shape, or form should Trump be she's not guilty until he goes to a court of law.
Sure.
However, I think there's a different standard when you are judging somebody to say, are you of ethical character to hold the highest office in the land? When, for instance, look at the New York case right now.
Yeah.
Michael Cohen already went to prison for doing
lying.
For doing the action that now Donald Trump is going to court for.
Roger Stone, Steve Bannon, Navarro's in jail right now. Why do all these people? And by the way, thank you so much for the call. Great call. so many people around Donald Trump seem to either go to jail or file for bankruptcy. Why is it all these people that, including Donald Trump's former Vice President Mike Pence and all these people around him, generals, they all speak out against him. Barr, they won't support him for president.
Yeah,
All these people that have
because
worked for
they're people on the opposite side of the Trump thing that will say anything. Same as
Barr
Biden.
is on the
Same
opposite. These are people that worked in Trump's administration. What do you
Right,
mean
and
on the-
obviously he pissed them off, and so now these people have a grudge.
You think it's just they pissed him off? You don't think they're telling the truth when they say he's unfit for president?
Well, there are people
despicable?
saying that about Biden. Do you think what they're lying?
Name me somebody that worked for Joe Biden, was in Joe Biden's administration, very close to him, that are saying any of those things about Joe Biden? Can you name me one person
in the Democrat Party that said anything about
that
Joe
have
Biden?
worked with Joe Biden the way that these people have worked in the Donald Trump administration,
Right.
whether it be Barr
And
or
so-
generals
so
or
you
his
s-
vice president?
Okay, so you're comparing apples and
I'm
Trump.
comparing people that
Okay,
worked
so
with
you're talking
Trump.
about a guy who's been in office since he was 21 years old,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to a guy who's a businessman who went into politics.
You're making my point for me. Someone that's been in office that long, you'd think you can find some people that have worked for Joe Biden.
Is that how that works in politics? They don't just watch over for each other?
They're all speaking out against Trump.
Okay.
How many dozens and dozens of people that have been in Trump's administration, including his own vice president, won't support him for president?
Right.
What does that say about him? You're not making that correlation? They're not. Find me people in Joe Biden's administration or have worked for him. In
Not
his
a problem. So right now, I am just started announcing that I'm running for office.
Correct.
No one has come forward saying I'm a rapist. No one has come forward and saying I
Maybe because you
assaulted-
haven't raped anybody,
or okay, or assaulted
or
anybody.
you haven't. You're not a liable rapist. Maybe
Okay,
that's why. Maybe
okay.
you're not a bad guy.
All right, but that stuff's going to come up. I guarantee it. Why?
But not people that worked with you. Not
No,
people,
these are people that worked with me.
Okay,
The
I
peop-
don't think people are going to do
All
that.
right,
to
well,
you.
we're going to see.
But I
We'll-
hope
we'll-
that
we'll revisit
I hope
this.
that doesn't happen.
We'll
to you.
revisit this, and then we'll
I don't
talk
think that
then.
about you, and I've known you for years, and I don't feel that way about
Because
you.
it's never happened.
Yeah, but these are distinguished generals, respected people that have worked with Trump that are saying he's unfit for office. His own vice president, Evan,
Right.
Mike Pence, won't endorse him. What does that tell you? Let's
well,
go to
Mike Pence.
yeah. Well, I'm not a Mike Pence fan either. I'm just telling you. Kava, Kava's on next. What's up, Kava?
Hi, how are you doing today, Brian?
Good. You're on with Evan. Go right ahead.
Hey, Evan, I'm not very happy with you after something that you said earlier today.
Who, me or Evan?
When you said that systemic, Evan.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
When
I'm out of
he
this.
said that systemic racism wasn't necessarily a thing, that's incorrect in every single way. So let me ask you a question, Evan. If systemic racism isn't a thing, then how come the NCAAP has posted hundreds of statistics showing that people of color like myself are harassed by police more times than non-people of color? Can you
Well, we'll
please
let
explain
Evan.
that to me, if that's the case?
We'll let Evan answer that question for you, Kava. I'm running against the clock here. Go ahead.
Okay,
Evan.
what is harassed by police? If you're pulled over, is that harassment?
Really?
It can be.
Yeah.
It can be. It
If
can
they
be.
asked for your ID, that's harassment?
Well, if somebody asked you,
No, I'm just asking.
What do you think? What do you think the answer
No, no,
to that
I
question
know.
is? What do you think?
In my
I am
opinion-
asking you what your level is,
Yeah.
what you think harassment is.
When they intentionally pull you out of the car without consent, without having any proof of anything?
breaking constitutional rights, for example, a police officer shouldn't be pulling you over for no reason.
Absolutely. And it
Okay.
should not be.
Okay. They
And
should.
yesterday,
Yeah.
I was harassed by a cop because I was on my way to the store to replace my phone.
Yeah.
And on my way home, a cop saw me. He stopped me for literally no reason. I asked him why.
Yeah.
He wouldn't give me a reason and
Yeah.
said, "Oh well, somebody called and said that you were being suspicious walking around." Tell me, Evan, does that sound fair to you? Does that
All right, well, let
sound
Evan.
like good policing
Let
to you?
Evan. Let's let Evan
Okay,
respond to that,
so
and I appreciate your
police,
call.
Police get a APB. They're out looking for an individual. Doesn't matter, whatever. And the description is given to, like, it's a white guy or it's a black guy or it's an Asian person.
Yeah.
So okay, so that's the description. So they're pulling people over because they have a suspicious report, and they're pulling people over because of the racial profiling of the identification used to identify that person. So my question to you is, what level of harassment
Well,
is your level of harassment?
if they're breaking your constitutional rights,
Yes.
a cop should not be allowed to ask you for ID unless they have a reasonable, articulable suspicion that you committed a crime or an infraction. And if they don't, that is breaking your constitutional rights. And in many of these videos on YouTube, you'll see them decline to show identification, and the cop is harassing them. They're threatening them. I'm going to put you in jail if you don't show me your ID. That, to me, is a level of harassment.
That is totally legal.
Right. Well, you get where I'm going.
I know, but then change the law because that is legal.
Okay. Well, I that's why I'm okay with people recording, and I'm okay.
No,
with
no,
people.
and they should, and
Yeah,
they should take
yeah.
it. They should take it to their attorneys.
There are some
and they
police
should sue.
officers that don't like it when you record them. Tough cookies.
Well,
they're allowed to record you. You're allowed to record
that
them. It's
is
your constitutional
absolutely
right.
true.
I want to go to my guest. Before I do that, I'm going to try to squeeze in one more phone call here quickly. Let's go to Joseph. Joseph, go for it. Did I lose Joseph? We lost Joseph. Okay. So, Evan, the next person we have on as a guest here, she's a lovely lady named Nicole Mitchell. She is a former pastor, now an OnlyFans model and a life coach. And I never thought I would have an OnlyFans model on at the same time as arguably the most successful and recognizable male porn star on the planet, who, by the way, is running for Congress, Evan Stone. Nicole, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
Hi, Brian. I'm so good. And Evan, it is so nice to meet you. I've heard so much about you from Brian. I've researched you, and it's so
Oh, you
great to
have?
be on the call
What
at
kind
the
of-
same time.
Wait, what kind of research have you done, Nicole?
Very appropriate research, Brian. Very appropriate.
You didn't Google me at work, right?
I'm just.
Oh, I Googled.
So Evan has been through this his entire life. So I want to ask you this question, Nicole. If somebody, because I even get this on my show, there are trolls out there that'll see pictures of you of sexual nature, and you're doing what you love to do, and I have no problem with what you do, and they criticize you for it. They call you names for it. How do you respond to that? I know, Evan, it's kind of a double standard because I think women face this a lot more than men do, Evan. But how do you handle people like that, Nicole?
Gosh, in a few different ways. Sometimes I cry because I'm really sensitive and I'm really tender and I really care. And then sometimes I get mad and I block people, I delete, but I really do my best to not let it get to me. At the end of the day, they have no impact on my income. They have no impact on my joy. They have no impact on my peace. That's all up to me at the end of the day. So I try to choose my peace, my joy, my pleasure again and again at the end of the day and just let them be.
Evan, what do you think about that? Because I'm sure you speak to a lot of people. Do you agree with me that sometimes it's a double standard where people will call a woman a bad name because she's in the adult industry and they don't say a lot of those things about men? I'm sure you get it.
Oh, I can fix this real easy. Guys, let me tell you something. If you were able to have 4 or 5 climaxes a day, what do you think you'd be doing for a living if people actually were going to pay you for it?
That's a good point. That is a very good point.
So
Yes.
you would be doing a lot more than the other sex is doing right now.
That is an excellent point that Evan just made. Okay, so Nicole, this might surprise you. Evan's running as a Republican for Congress. And what I've said to Evan, and I think he agrees with me, is that a lot of people on the right, you come from a right-wing evangelical family, are against the porn industry. They're against, adult anything, really. What would you say to that? And I would imagine you still deal with that. And would you say most of the criticism comes from people on the far right?
100%. I get most of my criticism from the right, and I'm always fascinated. So, Evan, I want to learn more about your reasoning for running as a Republican, because even now, as when I work with more and more OnlyFans content creators, more and more of them are Republican women, which always surprises me a little bit. But I also love it. I love when cognitive dissonance happens because it forces me to rethink my beliefs about people, and it makes me live more in the gray and less in the black and white. And I think that's actually good for all of us, but it still surprises me. So Evan, will you tell me a little bit more about why you run as a Republican?
Okay, first of all, I want to win. So you have to have a party to win. Now later, you can change your party affiliation, but in order to win, you have to be with the party. And the reason it's Republicans is because it's you can't be a hard right Republican and do what I've done, and you can't be a hard left Republican and do what I've done. But the people the people whose hearts and minds I want to change are not the people that I'm with right now. Not the Democrats. They're the Republicans. I have to be the bridge between these two peoples. These two, not peoples, but ideologies, right? And so in order to do that, you have to have a person like myself who's got nothing to gain and nothing to lose by doing this. So the reason I'm doing this, that and the government. I was all retired. I had 5 recording studios in Burbank. Everything was golden. And the COVID came and shut everything down. And the people that were living there were renting from me, didn't move out. In California, you can't throw people out. They stopped paying rent. I couldn't turn off the power. I couldn't turn off electricity. Couldn't turn off the internet, gas, all that stuff. So I went bankrupt. And then the government wouldn't give me a PPP loan or whatever loan they were giving me in the PPP loan, because I was Evan Stone Productions, which is a holding company. And because I'm an adult entertainer. And that really kind of pissed me off because I've got club owners and stuff that all got money, but I was the only one who didn't get money. And I had attorneys and all this other stuff. So that really kind of made me upset. And so I decided that I was going to do something about that. And so when I got into the political circle, I started meeting all these other people and I realized all the corruption, the stuff that's going on, the people have no idea. And I intend to tell everybody, because with our business, like, it's all communication. It's all openness. You have to be able to communicate with your partner or you never get anything done. And it is compromise to make everything happen. And I believe that I am the only catalyst to be able to do this. There's no one closer to the hearts and mind of the people than the people I am surrounded by.
I love this so much, Evan, and I appreciate your honesty. I just started giggling when you're like, I want to win. You have to pick the party that's going to win. So I love that candidness. My question is, say you win, what are the changes you want to make happen? How are you going to be a bridge as a Republican, as who you are? What's the bridges you want to build?
Okay. Well, first of all, it's a bridge, but I'm also can be a wedge also. So I'm in the House, which, and instead of going for Senate where they limit you to 2 minutes, I'll be in the House. My filibusters will be my comedy show for 2 days. It's going to be amazing. And things have to be started in the House before they go to the Senate. And I intend to make some legislation that happen, the stuff we discussed on the show, at a level that's only never been seen before. I intend to tell everybody about everyone that's come to me with their propositions and their proposals and their ideals and their graft, and tell everybody about it so people will be making decisions that I make by telling me the decisions to make.
Of course, I have to interject and ask something very inappropriate because he talked about propositions. What's the most money any person, is woman or man, coming up to you for a night, spending a night with you? That had to happen to you in your career.
No one's ever asked me.
Oh, come on.
No one's ever
come up to you and said, hey, I want to spend the night with you.
I've had guys, hey, come bang my wife and stuff like that, but no one's ever offered to pay me.
How much? Is there a price?
Now it's already free, so you can't really charge now.
No, but I would imagine a lot of people would come up with you with a price, and they would, hey, I'll give you.
Well, no, I would charge them. I would just charge them a scene rate. I imagine a couple grand.
Okay, so I'm married to a woman. We talk about so many serious topics on this show. Not to say this isn't a serious topic, but a little lighthearted on a Friday, right, Nicole? I'm married to a woman, and I want to give her a gift of spending a night with Evan Stone. I love her. It's one night. It's not love. At least I hope it won't be.
No, it's not.
It's one night, and I'm friends with you, but I want it to be a financial thing. There's a price for everybody, right? What would be your price?
Well,
if I come up to you and I say, I want you to spend a night.
There's an air conditioning guy that comes by the house, and he will take care of the house thing for me, and it's very low price. So if you could get this done, take care of that. It kind of helps everybody.
Come on, 10 grand. Be honest.
Well, of course,
10 grand, 20 grand.
What are we leaving town? Are we just going to your house?
Yeah.
Am I going to? So I'm not going to some exotic
Say you're going
island?
to LA.
Oh God.
How much? 20 grand?
Yeah, 50 grand if I go to
50?
LA.
Okay. I actually think that's somewhat reasonable. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to go to St. Martin? 10 grand.
Nicole, is that a fair price?
Well, he makes a good point when he's been doing it free for all these years. I'm like, good luck, Evan. You deserve it, and good luck.
I don't know if he's been doing it free. He's made a lot of money.
I pay for the professional stuff.
Yes, fair enough. Is there any situation, I would ask this to both of you, I guess, but where because of somebody's physical attributes, you wouldn't do something like that?
Oh, no, it's so funny. It's so funny. So I always, because I'm doing the big movies, right? So I'm always working with the top stars and all this other stuff.
Right.
And one of the guys at Hustler decided, because it's all boys club, these guys that all run the clubs and all the companies and stuff, the boys club, they decided they're going to mess with me because I never ask who the girl is, because that's kind of, I just kind of show up.
Of course, I understand. Yeah,
it's great, and so I show up and all these girls are really big girls. Really, really big girls. And they're over there on the couch. The two of the guys are just grinning and poking each other in the rib and laughing. And I go, what's going on? He go, yeah, you're the BBW tonight. And I go, okay, that's great. And I go, which one am I working with? They go, that one right there. And I go, okay, great. And so, I mean, she was happy because I wanted to have sex with her. I thought her face and her tits were just amazing.
Easy. Yeah, you don't be
it
careful.
was just amazing.
Yeah.
And her pits, yeah, her armpits, because I'm kind of into that stuff. So her face and her armpits were just amazing. And so I really kind of focused on that. And it was a great thing because she's really never been positioned that way before.
So you enjoyed the fact that she loved the fact that you wanted to be with her, and
yeah,
and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Nicole, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I identify as pansexual, so I'm attracted to all genders, all bodies, all genitals, all mix of genitals. I love humans as a whole.
And by the way, somebody on social media just said Evan is basically humping his way to the White House. I think that's very funny. That is quite funny.
No,
Hey,
I think they've already done that and they paid for it on the way.
I want to see a presidential ticket. Evan Stone and Nicole would run as
So
your vice president. That's what I want to
Here's
see.
the deal. So after the House, I'm going to run for governor. I'm going to kick the Republican governor out of his seat.
That'd be awesome. I would support that, by the way.
There you go.
Yes.
And then it's the White House, because what I want to do, which we kind of dropped on your, it has to be done at the executive level. I'll be setting it up in the House. Then I'm going to come here and set it up at the state level, and then when I go to the executive level, I will finish it off.
Yeah, I'm all for that, Nicole. I don't know. Does Evan have your vote, Nicole?
I am just intrigued by him. You know, you have my wheels spinning, Evan, because I'm very competitive. I love winning, but I'm not as quick to be as bold as you, where you're like, I'm just going to pick the team that's going to win.
Yeah.
But there's something super smart about that. So I'm just kind of contemplating all my life decisions in this moment right now because of that one statement.
All I do is I just want Evan to say and repeat after me, which I don't think he will. But Evan, can you just admit that Donald Trump is a scumbag?
No.
Can you just say it?
You don't even know the guy.
He's a scumbag.
You don't even know the guy.
I don't.
Have you met him?
Well, here's what we do.
Have
know.
you met him?
I have actually.
Okay.
Yes.
You haven't met him.
Very briefly.
And did you tell him he was a scumbag?
I think he's full of crap.
Did you tell him he's a scumbag?
This was
did you tell him he's a scumbag?
No, because this was
before he was a scumbag.
Way before
he ran for office. Before he was a scumbag.
This was before he ran for office.
Okay. And before he was all these charges.
No, I was 17 years old.
When he was getting humanitarian awards from the black community.
Yeah, I certainly give him credit for that. Okay, but hold on a second. By the way, I met him when I was 17. It was the Howard Stern show.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I was very young. I was in Atlantic City, so I wasn't.
I want to see you at 17.
I wasn't very politically savvy back then. Here's a guy who's had 26 women accused him of rape or sexual assault, including his ex-wife in a deposition under oath. He's already been found liable of rape, sexual battery. We can
in a
call
civil case.
Yeah, found liable. Here's a guy who has kids with multiple ex-wives who said he didn't want black people counting his money in his casinos, but he wanted Jews counting his money. Here's a guy that has defrauded people his entire life. Trump University being one example of many examples. When the Central Park Five were arrested and charged, he put out an ad in the New York Times saying they all deserve the death penalty. By the way, they are all found innocent. They went to jail, innocent men. Did Donald Trump ever retract? Did he ever say, oh, geez, I was wrong there? No, because that's the kind of person he is. He's attacked women on looks. He's attacked POWs. I don't respect John McCain because he was captured. He attacked Nikki Haley's husband a few months ago for serving the country overseas.
I know. I heard
this is a guy time and time again who has attacked all Gold Star families. Just add it to the list. Despicable things he said about people. I can only go by his actions, Evan. Do I know him personally? Would I ever have dinner with him? Do I behind closed doors? No, I wouldn't want to, because I see the way he treats people. I see the way he
You
acts.
wouldn't want to. You wouldn't want to find out for yourself.
Why do I need to find out for myself when this guy,
when everybody else has just told you stuff?
the things that he said on the record?
Okay.
The things that, what would you say about somebody who dodged the military multiple times? And then
Clinton.
Okay, but hold on. Let me
Whoa,
finish.
whoa, no, go ahead. I got more.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Dodged the military.
You want to skip that one and keep going?
No, I'm not going to skip it. I'm on it.
Okay. All right.
I'm talking about Donald Trump right now. I'm not doing whataboutism. I'm talking about, if you want to ask me my opinions on Bill Clinton, I'll give them to you.
No, about the other presidents.
I'm not skipping presidents. Right now, we're just talking about Trump because that's the conversation. He dodged the military multiple times, and then he's attacking somebody for being captured in war. What would you call somebody like that who makes a statement like that? By the way, this isn't hearsay. He said it on camera in front of people. What would you call that?
I would call that politics.
So if that's politics,
Yeah.
name me another politician who attacked a POW for being captured. Can you name me one politician on the record who's ever said, I don't respect him because he was captured?
No, because it's the first one person, other person to say that.
That's not politics. That's despicable. That has no place in politics.
So let's say.
Sorry, Nicole, we're getting on another tangent here.
So, all right. So a soldier surrenders, his whole squad gets killed because he surrenders.
Is that what John McCain did?
No. What is that? Is that something that a veteran should be accused of that he didn't
That's
do?
not what John McCain did.
No,
That's
I'm
irrelevant.
saying.
And I'm saying that has nothing to do with John McCain. I'm
Right.
asking you about the
And
comments.
so how was John McCain captured? He was shot down, right?
Yeah.
He was shot down.
He suffered his entire life.
and he was tortured there. And, that's
he
why-
didn't give up. And he didn't give up any information. He's a hero.
You don't know that
That's what. Well, first of all,
because that's what is that what he told the people, or is that what the captives told people they were to?
Both. There's witness testimony and people that were there and people that were with him. Now, if you think they're liars,
So the other guys that were with him, that were POWs.
yeah.
said the same-
So
said the
so
same
if you
thing.
think if you think they're lying, okay, he was still a POW. He
I'm
was
not saying they're lying. I'm just saying only one guy is saying what something
But
happened.
why would you defend those comments that Trump made about McCain? Why can't you just say, boy, that was awful. That was despicable. That has no place in politics.
Because I don't know what John McCain did. I don't know what he did when he was a POW.
He was a POW. He served this country.
That is correct.
And because you don't know exactly all the details, you would say, well,
Then I don't make an assumption that the person.
That's
is-
what Trump did. He said, I don't respect him because he was captured.
That's okay.
That's a horrible statement to make about a POW.
And so did
horrendous.
Did you ask Trump why he made that statement? in
I
regards
would
to that?
love to. I would love
But
to.
you don't want to meet with him.
I would love to interview him. I don't want to go on a date with him. I don't want to sit with him and have dinner with him. I think he's a horrible human
'Cause
being.
he'd probably make you pay.
I would have interviewed OJ Simpson. I believe he's a double murderer. I wouldn't want to go. I was offered to play golf with OJ. I don't know. Nicole, would you? Is Donald Trump the kind of guy? I don't know. Would you want to have dinner with him? I don't know.
Oh
Am
my
I
God,
wrong?
No way. No way. No way. Too
Why?
many other people I value and respect and look up to that I'd love to meet and have dinner with. Let's talk about Oprah. Let's talk about
Oh, yeah.
Ellen.
Right.
There's so many people I'd want to meet and like learn
Sure.
from.
Not Donald.
but
Back in
not
Chicago.
fight with.
He was McCain was tortured and beaten. He suffered his whole life. Trump dodged the military. I mean, what has Donald Trump done for anybody but himself his entire life? He buried his ex-wife on the first hole of his golf course so he could save money on taxes. I mean, listen, we could all disagree on policy. I think that's very fair.
Of course, that's the American way.
But this
Yeah,
isn't
yeah.
about this is about human decency. It's about human. He still
no, it's
lies
just-
about the 2020 election. He still lies about it.
What does he say about the election?
That it was stolen and that he won in a landslide and Biden's illegitimate. He won in a landslide and fake stuff about the and we had fake electorate schemes right here in Nevada. We had a fake electorate scheme. I mean, you have to at least give me that
27 states changed their laws how the elections are
because of the pandemic. That doesn't mean there was fraud.
No.
That doesn't mean there was fraud.
There was fraud.
Where's the
This-
widespread voter fraud? Where's the evidence of that?
Okay.
Doesn't exist.
Ballot harvesting.
No widespread voter fraud. There's no evidence that was shown.
Where's the evidence?
There's
now?
no widespread
Where's the evidence?
There is no evidence.
Why?
Why? Because it didn't happen. There's no
What-
widespread
what- no,
voter fraud.
What happened to the evidence? Where are all the ballots? Where are all the machines? Where's all the evidence of the election? Where is it all?
What do you mean? Where's all the
Where
evidence?
is the evidence?
There is no evidence of fraud.
Why not? Where did it
Because
go?
it doesn't exist.
Because why doesn't it exist?
Widespread voter fraud
No.
didn't happen.
Okay, there were ballots brought in. Where are those ballots?
There were ballots that were brought in.
Brought in
Where
and
are
counted.
all those
Yeah,
ballots?
where are those ballots?
There's no evidence that
Where
there
are those ballots?
there's no evidence that there were ballots that weren't counted. I don't know what you're
Okay,
talking
so the
about.
ballots that were counted, where are those ballots?
What do you mean?
Where are those ballots that were counted?
You'd have to ask the secretaries of state. In
They're
every
destroyed.
State. Okay, that doesn't mean that there was widespread voter fraud.
Okay.
Even if that's true.
How can you say there's no evidence when there's no evidence? Everything was destroyed. All the records, all the machines, all that backup and stuff was all taken out. all wiped out.
We're gonna have
come
to
back to that.
We're gonna have to come back to that
All right.
because I respectfully disagree with you on that one.
All right.
Nicole, I'm sorry, we went on a little bit of a tangent there. Do you have any last things you'd like to say to Evan? Sorry, before we let you go.
No, but I really respect that you guys can have this intense dialogue and still
Absolutely.
have a friendship. I think that beautifully
Absolutely. Yes.
models what is possible for people who with very different values and beliefs. So thank you guys for modeling that.
Next
so
time you're in town, Nicole, Evan's going to come out with us. We're going to have a night in the town,
let's go.
and let's do it. Okay. Evan is a very fun guy to hang out with, and he's also fun to have on the show. Nicole, it's great to see you, and I appreciate you coming on, and we'll catch up with you next week. Okay.
Can't wait. Thank you, Brian. Nice to meet
Thanks,
you.
Nicole.
Evan, take care, you too.
Thanks, Evan. See,
Nice meeting you.
or thanks, Nicole. Evan, give out your information. We got about a minute here.
Evan Stone, District 1. Evan, I don't know, 6, something like that. The primary. So,
Plenty of time to get your act together, and the Secretary of State will allow you to change your party affiliation to vote for me and then change it back.
Boy, it'd be interesting to have Dina Titus in studio debating Evan Stone. All I can do is ask. That's all I can do. All I can do is ask her. She's been in studio before. Hey, do you want to debate the most famous, arguably the most famous male porn star on the planet? We'll see what Dina Titus has to say. Oh, by the way, that's your opponent. So I'll let it go, man. I need the Evan Stone shirts lined up. That's what I need. We need some Evan Stone shirts. Evan, it is always a pleasure having you here.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. And I love your getup, by the way, again. And I want to have you in studio again soon. It's always a good time.
Take care.
All right. Thanks, Evan. All right, everybody. That's a wrap. Everybody have a great weekend. And we will see you on Monday. Take care, everybody.